All right, thank you. So, um, straight, let's go back to our repository and see what we have here. So, when we pick, for instance, the course repository, let's see what is happening here. We still have all these queries running through course.find. We have course.find here. If you go to instructor2, we have instructor.find. So imagine if you're having about how many entities in your database, about 1,000 tables in your database, and you're going to create repository for all these 1,000 entities. That means you're going to have this find queries running through all these repositories. So we still come back to the same thing. What if Entity Framework decides to do an upgrade and change this find to get? Or what if you want to even change your persistent framework from Entity Framework to something else? You still have to go through how many repositories, 1,000 repositories to be changing this find and to be changing others. But if you watch well, let's pick out the three repositories. We have instructor course.find, we have instructor find, we have course what find. The same applies for the to list to, the same applies for add, and the same applies for remove and save and all that. So what we realize is basically there are some methods that will run through all these repositories, especially if it's going to do CRUD. Find, get all, add, remove, all these ones are something that will run through all your repositories. So instead of and even searching, writing queries, maybe where all this. So instead of writing all these things separately in different repositories, what we're going to do is we are going to implement a generic repository. Generic in the sense that it will take an object and run whatever queries, whatever you have on that object generically. So we have only one implementation for this repository, and all these ones will use it so that we don't have to run or duplicate these codes all over all our repositories. So what I'm going to do quick is to start a generic repository. So we come here, let's define a class, let's add an interface. So from now going, everything we are going to do, we are going to use interfaces. So we can do our injection in whatever or wherever we want to use it. So when I come here, a new item, I add an interface. Let me call this one iRepository. iRepository. I add this. Good. So this is going to be public. So what we're going to say is, with this public repository, we are going to pass an entity called T what? Entity, where T entity is what? Is a class. Perfect. So with this, we can now have our how do you call it? Our find, our gets, and all those ones that we want to do. We can now have all of them there. So not to waste time, I'm just going to I've already written that. I will just move them in here and explain it quickly, and there we go. We implement this interface. So yeah. Oh, sorry. Should be entity. Entity. Good. So what we are saying here is that we need an interface to implement this our generic repository, which will have a get, we'll have a get all, we'll have a find, we'll have add, we have add range, we have remove range, we have any, we have count, we have update range, get for update delete, get for update delete. So those ones, I'll take them out for now. When we get to unit of work, I will explain why we add. So basically, all our repositories are going to have something like this. So why duplicate them in the repositories in various variables? So we are deciding to write a generic repository that all the other ones will use. So what we have to, after getting this interface, we need a class implementation of it. So what we'll do is we would add a new class here to the repository. and call it repository. So we'll call this one repository. Good, good. Now this repository is also going to be a generic one because we are going to inherit it. So this is also T entity. Is that okay? And this is implementing I repository from here. So whatever entity you pass to this is what will come to this. Good. Yes. Where T entity is what? Is a class. That is why earlier on I said we're going to do some little, how do you call it, generic. So you should be comfortable with it at least for. So let's implement missing members. These are all the missing members we have. Let's click on finish. Good. So this is going to be our generic repository. So what we need here is we need our DB here. So it comes to the point now we will succeed in declaring our database connection just once. So I'll call this protected read only. Let me call it a DB context. And let me call it my context. Good. And this DB context, I'm going to inject it into a constructor this way. Perfect. And I will allow Ninja to do this injection for me when I need it. Good. So now that we have this, we now have get, we have get all, we have find, we have add range, we have remove range, we have any, we have count, we have update, we have update range. So, and this is written generically. So let's put the implementation there. So for add, what do we have? We have we'll have this for add. So what it means is good. So let's go back and see. So add is what? The context, which is the DB that whatever DB will be passed over here, or whatever connection that will be passed to us over here. We don't care. But whatever you pass to us, we are expecting that there will be whatever class that will be passing inside here set, and then we are adding this. So basically, this is it. I'll make this quick, what do you call it? Codes available on GitHub. So you just grab it and you can use it however you want to use it. So I don't want to keep too much time, and this should be small c. So this is for any add range. What are we doing with add range? Let me see. Add range. So when we are adding range, this is what we are expecting. Good. This is still a context, small e. Good. And when we say find, when we are find something. Why is it find? Good. So this is so our find here is even returning a list, not like the, and we'll change our find to be the entity field we're find to get over here. So get, what do we have here? So our get here, what are we doing? We are just first or default, and then bring a predicate. So we are even allowing you to put a whole statement here, and then we'll use that to get a first, but we'll return only one. You can also do how do you call it? This T entity, let's call this one find. We can also do this, and then we'll take an integer ID and return context. Oh, good. Context dot set good T entity dot find, and then pass the ID to it. Okay, we need this here. We can also do this. So let's just add this to our, let's add this here. Good. Let's add this. I'm going to put comments. I put the comments here so that we can get chat context. Good. Perfect, perfect. What else do we have? So we have a find where you can just pass an ID and get, and we have a find where you can actually pass a whole expression and then get one value coming out. So we get all, or you want to return everything from context. Be very careful when you are using this. Good. Oh. So we have this. This should also be the small c. Good. Then we have the remove to. Let's write the remove. Remove. This is remove. Let's write it. So we have remove here. So all this is generic. And then we have remove range. Remove range. So what that means is after writing this, okay, when we go forward, we will look at that. We'll look at that. And then we have after remove range, we have count. If you want to count, these are things that we can write generically and reuse. So count. If you want to count, there's no need repeating all these codes in your repository. Count. So we have count here. I contest this. Small c. We have update. Good. We have updates here. Good. And then update range. Update range, update range, update range. Yes. So for update range, we do this and then call this update. So far, I think we have implemented all our methods. Now, what I'm just trying to tell you is this method. Okay, rename how you want to rename, no problem. Just rename it. Okay, good. This find, this get, all those things are basic things that all repositories will need anyway. So there's no need writing them separately in repository. That is why I'm writing a generic one, and then I'll show you how to use that. How to use that. So now that we have all this implemented here, let me close all this. Let me go to the course repository. You see, there's no need doing this find again. There's no need doing this to list again. There's no need doing this save changes here. There's no need doing this add here. There's no need doing this remove here. All we can do is we can just inherit from what? A repository that we've just created. And since it is generic, we will pass the course, the entity to it. You get me? Now, what that means is this iCourse repository does not need iCourse interface, does not need to define all this again. That is what it means. It doesn't need to what? Define what? All this. All it has to do is also inherit from what? iRepository. And since it's generic, we pass what? Course to it. The entity to it. Course inside here. Good. So we don't need to do this. All we need is this. And this can go now because we don't need this connection here anymore. And we don't need all this. Let me see the only thing we need here. The only thing we need here is when we are, let me see. Yes, the DB connection, because over here inside the repository, you need to pass it to the constructor. So that is why it is asking for it over here. And that is it. So it has created a constructor for this, which is accepting a context, and that will now be passed on to whatever class it is inheriting from. So perfectly, this is all we need. So you see, now what happens? All that code in the course repository, we've taken it out because we've written it generically here. And that is what every repository will use, unless you need something more, how do you call it, customized pertaining to this. For instance, if I want to get all teachers that their names start with an S, then I can now come and say, okay, inside the course repository, I can now say return I enumerable instructors, instructor, and the name should be get S instructors. Then I can do get S instructors. Then, so this is now just for course. So I can come here, implement that, and when I'm implementing that, I don't need to define any database connection here again. All I'll do is I can just return and say what, find or get, because get is going to return a list. No, find is going to return a list instead. Find. Then I can now put my query directly. X, find X, so that X dot name, X dot instructor name. Am I writing in course? Oh, I'm writing in course, not instructor rather. Oh, okay. So instructor course dot starts with, or that contains S. S should be a string. Sorry. Okay, because of the structure here, so it should have been course, because we are writing in course, and we should change this to course and call this get S courses. Get S courses, and this should be get S courses because we are writing in course. Good. What is still happening? Find X at that X dot instructor course. Oh no, X dot course name, course title, sorry, that contains S. Perfect. So you see, now whatever we write over here is just anything that has to do customized to this repository. But with the basic things like all this, they are all defined. Immediately you add a new repository. Let's take this off and go back and do same for the rest. So let me take this off. So what that means is for this instructor course repository, I don't need all this again. I don't need this because all these things are now defined in my generic repository, and I don't need it. So I just have to do repository here, and this is what instructor course. This is instructor course. That is a DB entity. And implement missing member. No. Instructor course repository. This you also inherit from I repository instructor course. So all this must go to perfect. So we come here, all we need to do is implement a missing member, which will be the DB, the standard we are passing here. Perfect, 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 perfect. Let me take this off, save all those. Let's go to the last one, which is instructor repository. So what happens is we don't need all this. We can inherit directly from repository, which is generic, and we pass instructor entity to it. And when we go to the interface of that one too, we don't need all this because we have it generically defined now. We can just inherit from iRepository and pass instructor to it. Good. So we fine. So now our headache now is the DB context, which is defined here, which this all the repositories now, let me open all of them, close off. When you pick all the repositories we've defined now, course repository, instructor repository, instructor, this ones, they are not asking for anything. All they needed is a DB context, which will pass to what they are inheriting from, and they'll get their basic things done, like add and all that, add and all those ones. So what it means is because the names in the repository now are different, when we go to our repositories now, we've changed it to add, find, and all that. We have to go back to our controllers. Where is it? Course controller, and change them to the name we have in the generic repository. And we have, okay, for save, we've not done that yet. I'll hold on to that. We will do it inside the unit of work. Cool. So this find should accept a nullable int. So I'll go back to the repository. This is it. It should accept a nullable int. Where's the repository interface? The interface to the repository is this. And the find here should accept a nullable int. Good. So we come back. So I'll pause and change all those in the controller. Good. So what we did was we went back to our controllers and changed the add, the find, all this to match whatever we have in our generic repository, which is this. So I've not implemented save changes because I want to do that directly inside how do you call it, when we are doing unit of work, but it seems I have to do it now, and then we'll see the changes, why the need for a unit of work, why not just a repository, but a need for. So what I'm going to do is, let me just do it here. Let me call it save. And when you call save, all I'm going to do is to return the context dot save changes. That is all. Let me put this in the interface. Where is it? Let me add it to the interface. Perfect. I'll take it off later, but for now, let's leave it there. So we can now go back here, and the saves that we've commented out, we can bring them back. We can now save. Good. The ones we've commented out, we can bring them back. Say save. Good. We can bring them back and say save. For now, it'll work, but we'll look at the downside of this too, and why we need to build a unit of work. So this is course. Let's go to instructor. No, sorry. Controller instead. Let's take this away. Let me do it save. And what else? Let's take this off. Let's do it save. Even the updates, we are going to. So now we have instructor course repository dot update, and then we pass the entity to it, which is what? The entity is called instructor course. Instructor course. Perfect. Because we have this generic implementation now. Good. Let's go to instructor 2. So we have this. Let's call our save back. I've commented this out. Let me bring it back. Save. I've commented this too. Let me bring it back. I'll save. And I think we need this. The updates for the update. Where's the edits? Good. We'll need this. Just instructor repository. Let's call this instructor. And the same for course. We go to course, the update, edit. This should be here. So paste. This should be course repository, and we pass the course object. Good. So this is what we have so far. So now you can see that all our repositories are empty anyway, waiting for customized codes only. But anything that is basic, like add, find, get, add range, remove range, any, count, are written generically, and you don't need to repeat that code. And it makes it easier for us to change and to maintain our queries. Now, one thing left. We are passing inside the repositories. Inside the repositories, we need to pass an implementation for the DB context. So we have to do that inside Ninject. We have to do it inside Ninject. So we go into Ninject. Where is our Ninject? Abstract Ninject web context. Then you say for anybody that wants what DB context, what do? Give the person what? Lockdown DB entities. Perfect. Good. And also we added a new repository, which is the generic repository. So kernel.bind, anybody who wants iRepository. So this is a generic repository. So the binding is not going to be this way. This is generic. So what we are going to do is we are going to say anybody who wants this, a type of, we'll do some small reflection here. So anybody who wants a type of repository, is that okay? We'll bind that person to, this should be bracket, to another type of, are we following? Repository. Perfect. So let's execute this again and see what we have. It's taking some time. I don't know why. First initially, to take some few times. Let's just wait for it. Get it possible. Good. So we have it here. Let's go to instructors and see if it works perfectly. It works. We create new. Let's add this to Maxwell Booking. Good. We add a new one and perfectly it is there. It's working. Let's try and do an update. Let's change this to Max and save this. Perfectly. Max has been updated. So what have we achieved? we have been able to refactor this code. So we have a repository for each of the entities, and above that we have a generic repository that any repository will use unless you want a customized code for a particular repository. All you have to do is add a new class interface, let it inherit from the generic one, and you are good to go. Tomorrow, if we want to change our entity framework, all we need to do is to change this implementation, and everything still works perfectly. So with the next thing, we are going to talk about unit of work, and I will explain that whole concept. Thank you.